The events at Bondi Junction over the weekend have seen an outpouring of grief from all over the country, and Beyond Blue CEO Georgie Harman says it's never too early to seek support if you're feeling distressed. So Georgie's in the studio with us. We can dig deeper into that, Georgie. It was a tough weekend for a lot of people. I mean, the family and friends and people who witnessed it there, that's one level beyond what we can comprehend. For the rest of us who are watching it on the news, what's the words? What do you say?
Oh, look, I'm struggling actually to find the words, but I think what I want to say to people is that when events like this happen that shatter the heart of how we live, you know, these spaces that are supposed to be safe, where we go about and we do our daily business. There's nothing more normal than going shopping on a Saturday. It is really tough, and many of us will be feeling deep and overwhelming feelings of sadness and shock and anger and fear. And these feelings are incredibly normal and in fact to be expected when we witness stuff like this. So lean into it. Don't avoid it. Social support is really important right now. Spending time with your family and your friends, talking about it as we return to work this morning. But if these feelings linger, if they last, a few weeks, that's the time to get extra mental health support, and that's, where Beyond Blue comes in, and many other fantastic organisations. We've got a discussion thread running on our online community forums right now where people are doing an incredible job to support one another. And that is a safe online space. And I think the immediacy of the news and the feelings that we have when it's feeling like it's everywhere, we need to be really mindful of that. It's actually okay to switch your phone off or to curate your news. Be the boss of your own phone. It's really important. We cannot allow these feelings to become to the point where they stop us sleeping, for example. So, normal and natural right now. Let's talk about it, keep talking about it, look out for each other. Focus on the acts of bravery and humanity, the things that are binding us.
Yeah, the Premier was saying that just before. He said, look, just keep reminding yourself of how many people did amazing things.
Yeah, exactly. And also that these are very rare events, The world can feel very dark and dangerous at the moment, especially if we are doom scrolling, and that would be my other piece of advice. Sometimes that I have to remind myself of, is
you
like...
get quite stuck on it, can't you?
Yeah.
Because you're going to the next bit and the next bit and the next bit.
That's right.
What I found when I came off the phone on Saturday night, because I was glued to it for hours, feeling all sorts of feelings, is that when you actually talk to someone and you have a back and forth discussion, you can be there to support one another.
Exactly.
But we're doing that less and less. So, I mean, how important is that after this kind of a event, which is really a mass trauma in this country, which we don't see very often?
Look, that's right. And look, again, social support is so important. Picking up the phone and having a chat with a friend that you haven't spoken to for a while. Going out into the sunshine, hopefully the sun is shining where you live, and just spending a bit of time in nature. And I think, again, switching off your notifications and really limiting the amount of news and social media that you are consuming doesn't mean that you don't care. It actually, taking that break and just replenishing yourself actually makes you stronger to be there for others, your kids, your partner, others who are experiencing distress. So, again, normal, natural, keep an eye on yourself. Be a friend to yourself.
What are the symptoms or signs that you are not coping?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, there's feelings of shock, numbness, grief, overwhelming sadness, very natural, very normal. In a few days or weeks, if you're having intrusive thoughts, if you're playing over the images that you may have seen online or in your feeds, if you are having difficulty sleeping, if you're more irritable than normal, or if you're just feeling an immense sadness that you can't shake, that's the time. And I'd prefer for you not to get to that point, if you're starting to feel things that, you're just not able to kind of dial down, pick up the phone and speak to Beyond Blue, jump on our website, go to those forums. That's what we're here for. And, that is a very sensible act of self-replenishment.
Georgie, I'm wondering, and I want to word this correctly, that we're going to inevitably have a big discussion about mental health post this event.
Yes.
And I'm thinking particularly for people in the community, the many, many Australians who have suffered from mental health conditions in this country. How do we have a responsible conversation in light of what's happened and the focus on the attackers' mental health as well?
Look, I'm really glad you asked that question, because I've been increasingly concerned, and I've had a number of people who live with complex mental health issues reach out to me who are extremely concerned and feeling very othered. You know, mental illness does not equate to violence. 45% of us in our lifetime will experience some kind of mental health struggle. And the more complex those struggles are, the more discrimination we face. So, you know, the fact is, and we've known this for a long, long time, that if you live with complex mental health challenges, you are more likely to be a victim of crime than a perpetrator of crime. So I think we need to establish and remember that fact as we process this. That doesn't take away from the fact that this is a shocking tragedy. This is a crime. And we also need to establish the facts and establish whether and when the system failed. And then we need to have that conversation. But I think right now we need to focus on, you know, grieving and remembering and celebrating the acts of heroism and bravery that we saw.
If this story has raised any issues for you, you can get help by calling the National Sexual Assault and Family Violence Counselling Helpline on 1800 RESPECT, which is 1800 737 732.